Hello everyone and welcome to the Centre, the Forever Hounds Trust Centre based here in Devon. We're really happy to have you here this evening. We're going to use this opportunity to show you around, to show you what it's like working at the centre, give you an idea of the space that we've got, the environment that we've got, the things, the ideas that we have that we want to develop, and for you to meet some of the dogs too. So sit back and enjoy. So here we are. This is the entrance to the site, to our centre. You see, this is the infamous lane, the track, the potholey track. It doesn't look too bad from here, but as you go further down it gets worse and it is deteriorating each day. But hopefully by the time you're actually watching this, the lane will have been fixed and there'll be a new roadway down. Hopefully when we're in the chat room together, I'll be able to update you. But what I wanted to do out here was just show you a little bit. The grass has just been cut. This is the farmer's field, but it's very sunny, I know. What I wanted to do was just show you this bit here though. This section is a section that we are buying from the farmer, and it's to be able to create a car park. And once we've done that, it will make life much easier for us on site. When we have things being delivered, it's really tricky, and when we have everyone in, it's really tricky too. So this will make a huge difference to us. We're actually going to, along the boundary of the new area, we're going to put a hedgerow in. We're looking at grants for that will actually pay for probably 75% of that hedgerow to go in. So we get that in so that the area where all the hedgerows in this field's actually, it was 11 fields, so it's all now one. So we want to put a hedgerow back in and create something that's good for the wildlife as well as for us. You'll see as you come in the turning space that we have here. We have to leave this space available for vehicles usually to turn, because when we have delivery vehicles they can't get in. We do have a problem where we've got a phone line going across the middle here, so anything high brings the phone line down. It doesn't have to be too high really to do that. We've already had it brought down twice, so we're looking at that needing to be buried underneath. But we also will be digging a channel for some wiring to go underground for the fire system cabling and a new electric cable, so we'll be able to look at the phone one going under too. So it's just some things we need to do to adapt the site. But this really is where we're parking, and then what we do is we have to drive down into the site, which isn't ideal where the kennels are, and park down there. So shortly we'll be putting some fencing in, and that will mean that the site is secure. At the moment you can see that it's not at all secure, and if a dog got loose they would be able to get out and run around all the fields around us. It won't be long, probably a couple of weeks, and we'll start the fencing work. So I'll show you some more of the fields in a little bit, and you'll see where the Friends field is going to go to. So I just thought I'd bring you into the wonderful garden setting. This is at the back of the house, and this is where we get into the office. There's a summer house there too. That is where Tinsel, our feral cat, gets to have her meal. She's given an evening meal, just so that she is having something, but hopefully she's catching things for us too. We've got the table and chairs here so that we can have lunch out, because sometimes, certainly when it's like this, it's lovely to do that, but also we don't really have that much room in the office, and if people are on calls and Teams meetings and things like that, then it's hard for people just to relax and chat. So we've got this outside space for them at the moment. It also means that we can do meetings meetings, we can have people in, talk to them about the dogs that they may be suitable to home, and then when we are doing homing we can do the paperwork and things out here if it's a nice day. What I'm going to do is take you into the office. We do have dogs in the office, but not now. I've just made sure that we haven't got any in there so that I haven't got to worry about the door being open. You see, we're expanding to fill the space very quickly. We've got some desks. We've actually got 4 desks in here. So we've got Kathy, who you will be hearing from. She's the Volunteer Development Manager, and that's her desk. We've got Rachel, the Centre Behaviourist. We've got a hot desk where anyone visiting can work, and volunteers who are coming in to help us with admin and fundraising, and Debs is sitting there at the, at the moment, most of the time. She's giving up lots of time, and you'll be meeting her in a second. And then my desk up there. So we've got a few chairs here just for if it is raining, and we can have lunch inside. And then I thought I'd just explain how things work. So what we do, we have a meeting each morning when we get in at 8:15, and that's to talk about the day and to talk about the dogs, what's happening, are there vet visits, is there a physio visit, is anyone coming in to meet a dog, is there a homing, anything like that. And we've got those dogs on the board here. What we do is we make sure we've got the plan, we know exactly where each dog is. We do have to move them around sometimes because they don't always get on being next door to each other. And you'll see they're in different colours. We'll know who's coming in and when. Any dogs that are about to come in, we'll have there in black. And we've got kennel space allocated to them. So Willow, Lulu and Dougie are coming in. They're actually coming in tonight or tomorrow morning because they'll be arriving here at about 3 o'clock. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, about 4:30 in the morning. So we've put there Willow, Lulu, Dougie, but we don't know them yet, so we haven't said who will be next to any other dog. We'll just wait and see how they are. And then there you'll see in red we've got Watson, Solomon, Eli and Seb. That's because they only came in a couple of days ago, so they're still under assessment, and they will stay in red until they've completed that assessment and are up for homing. And then over in the main block you'll see we've got maybe a dog in red because they're still under assessment, and we've got dogs in blue, so those ones are all up for homing and ready to go home. And then you'll see maybe a green dot or green brackets, and those dogs are dogs that are being met or dogs that are reserved and have been met and are maybe going either on a foster with a view to adopt or going to a home. So here we go, we've had the morning meeting in the office, and now we're just going down to get the dogs out of the kennels. In a minute you'll probably hear them start to bark because they'll get very excited. Here we go. They'll get excited that they know we're coming in, and it's whoever gets out first. So they're thinking who's going to go, who's not going to go. And they just want it to be them, obviously. So this is where we are parked at the moment until we have the car park outside. And we're starting down with the bottom block kennels. The dogs down here, most of them are up for homing. We know they're not in isolation. The top block we're using for those dogs that have only just come in and they haven't been vaccinated yet. So going in, people are just stocking up with treats and poo bags, obviously. And I'm going to take you in. You might not be able to hear me completely when we go in because it's going to be quite loud, but you'll just get an idea of what's happening. They're just opening up, unlocking, stocking up. We've already got feeds made up, so here we've got the feeds made up. You can see the pots, and you can see there we've got different dogs have got their pots. That means we've got 3 meals already prepared for today. It just gives us a chance to get in and get sort of, after we've got them walked, we can then feed quite quickly, and that's obviously what they want us to do. They're always very hungry in the morning. It will have been a long night. So then we've just got the dogs being harnessed up, ready to go out. What we do is one dog will be harnessed and taken out, and then the next person will come in and they will clean that kennel, tidy the bedding depending on what's been happening, and clean up if we need to. Here's Olive. Good morning, Olive. Hello, darling. Olive wants to go out too. So this block is what we call top block. It's the block that was used as the boarding kennel when it was previously owned. And this is the block that we're using as our isolation kennel at the moment. We haven't got one that really is truly isolation, but this is it for the moment, as I say. You'll see that we've got blankets up there where the wire is. Actually, without the blankets, then the dogs are exposed to the weather, which when it's like this is fine, but when it's blowing a hoolie and raining, that isn't so fine. So we're going to be perspexing that, and the same we're going to be perspexing between the kennels here, because we need to separate off those kennels as much as we can rather than just have wire between them, just to help with infection control. It won't stop it, as I say, it's not a true isolation kennel, but it will help it, and everything we do will be to guard against that. So at the moment we've got 4 dogs in here who arrived at the weekend. We've got spaces allocated for 3 more coming in tonight, and then we've got one dog in here who she prefers to be in a quieter block, and this is, believe it or not, a quieter block. So here we have one of the new greyhounds that came in at the weekend. So they're just settling down and getting used to the environment. He's just waiting to go for his walk. Coco is going in advance of him, so Coco needs to be introduced to new dogs, and we won't let her meet them without a proper introduction on the lane. So they're going to go and just wait and then go for their walk. So just to, in the spirit of keeping things isolated, then what we're doing is walking in a different area. So these dogs that are in this block are currently going out of the front of the centre and across or down the track. Today is the day that the track work starts, so actually they'll be probably going in the field, in the piece of land that we're buying as well, but it gives them an opportunity to toilet as soon as they come out. And these are pretty good dogs, to be honest. You know, they've only just arrived. They are used to being kennelled, we know that, but they are tending to poo when we take them out, which is brilliant and helps with the cleaning and everything else. But it's great for them developing that before they're going into a home as well. Here we are in what we call the Green Lane. So just up ahead there you can see the bottom block. So we've just come down from there where we would walk, and then going around here, panning round, this is the Green Lane. And you can see it's quite long, and this is an area that we're about to fence to be an enclosed off-lead area. It's what we've called the Friends Field, and we've been raising money for that, had some amazing donations for it. So this is going to be an off-lead area with a bit of a difference. We're going for multi-purpose, as we like to with everything here. What I'm going to do is walk down to the end of the lane so that you can see it from the other side, and just talk you through what's going to be going in here. And here we are down at the other end of the field. So the green lane, as you can see, is quite long from here if you look down towards those apple trees in the distance. And what we wouldn't want is the dogs to be able to run from here right the way down to the end of the fencing there, be getting up some speed, really going at full pelt, and then either cornering or coming to a stop is exactly, you know, what we wouldn't want them to do. So that means we're going to have to do some design within this area to make sure that that doesn't happen. So the fencing is going along, as I say, the edges, the bottom here, and then the top, and there'll be a gate there for everyone to come in. What we're going to do in between is create borders that are part of a sensory garden. We're going to create a bridge so that we can help the dogs learn to do steps, and that bridge will go over a pebble river. The Pebble River is going to be a memorial pebble river for humans and for dogs, where people will be able to have a pebble engraved, and that will be there forever. Looking at the area, you can see with the distance and stuff that actually we really need some design help on it. And what have we got? We're lucky enough to have Gardener's World gardener Francis Tophill, who's going to help us design the garden. How amazing is that? Truly is fantastic. So I'll just show you around. This is the end. This is going to be a nice quiet spot. We just left a bit of grass there for the dogs again, although we're trying to keep the grass under control. We've just left a bit for them to do a bit of sniffing in, but this is a lovely area under the trees here where we'll create a nice quiet sitting area. So then that means we've got the memorial area, we've got the sensory side of things, we're using it for off-lead and for dog meets and mixes, and also just for people who are coming to adopt one of the dogs, and they can have a nice gentle introduction, and then we can gradually build up with them, spending some time with a dog and getting to know them before they get to that stage of taking them home. So this is the green lane. So here we are in the big field this time. It's just after lunch and it's hot, so we're just going to do some steady walks with the dogs. So depending on the day, we have different numbers of people in. Today we've got 3 staff in, so it means we can catch up with lots of jobs and do lots of things, and it means that these 3 dogs can go for a walk together. So obviously we will have assessed who can walk with who, we know who's friendly with who, but we'll also do work, so if some dogs aren't so good with other dogs, then we will have done work to gradually let them meet and get used to other dogs, walk with them, walk with maybe, you know, just one dog at a time, and then these dogs are all very happy to be walking with another dog. You may have seen on the website Connor and Victor. Victor actually has someone coming to meet him this week, which is fantastic news. Connor has been on, he's now our longest term resident, and he has some issues with guarding, especially guarding of food or precious things to him. So that just means that he did go into home for a while, but he then came back because of that, and now we're looking for the right home who can just make sure that he doesn't get hold of things, but if he does, he's not challenged, because that obviously can go the wrong way. So this just gives you an idea, and to see people walking off, it gives you a sort of sense of the scale again of the size of the field. It's the same length as the green lane, but obviously much bigger. And at the moment we have just a stock fencing, you'll see, over to the side. We don't have full fencing yet, so again we're in a position where we need to make sure the dogs are secure with us, safe on lead, because if they were to get off they would be able to get out of the centre. So there you go, that just gives you an idea of those dogs going off for a walk, and in a minute we'll see some more. Here we go. So I didn't keep the camera on them walking the dogs around the field the entire time, otherwise you would have had time to go off and make a cup of tea. We're just coming in now and we've got Olive and Tommy and then Jethro. So, and you might hear that we've got a rather large plane going over. So but that happens here, and it's something the dogs have to get used to, and it's good for them. So you've got the extreme now. You've got Tommy, who was really quite quiet when he first came in, and he's come out of himself and he just wants to go and wants to play. Olive, who was in foster, who struggled a little bit in foster because it was in a suburban environment, and she has just chilled out enormously here. And then Jethro, who hopefully is going to be going into a foster very shortly, and that foster will be with a view to adopt, depending on how he gets on. We're just looking here at the off-lead paddock. So you see it's kind of tennis court size, chain link fencing, and what we've done is put a gazebo up at the entrance here so that it's attached if it's a little bit windy, but it's going to give us a shaded area for the dogs. We can put some bedding down here and they can lie down. We've got a paddling pool, and I'm hoping in a minute we might be able to see a dog come in and enjoy that paddling pool. But this is the off-lead area. So at the moment we're using this for the mixes until we have the green lane, the Friends Field, fenced, and we also use it for small dog work so that we can have the dog in here and the small dog outside. They can actually start way down, so right down at the other end of the field, and then gradually get closer and closer, so everyone's safe. It's a good way of doing it, and it makes use of everything we have. So the off-lead paddock. So here's Coco enjoying off-lead time, off muzzle, off lead. Obviously it's quite warm, so we don't want to encourage her to run around too much, but she's having fun coming into the shade when she wants to. We've put up the gazebo for them. She has been in the paddling pool, but I'm not sure whether she'll go in there again. I think she's the only dog so far that has been completely in it, so we'll see. But it's just to give you an idea again the scale of the space that we have at the moment.
She's facing the right way.
She may or may not do that.
Rumour has it she did earlier.
Yeah, we were told.
What's in there? What's in there? Ooh.
Okay, so you can also imagine how much washing we get through with some of the dogs deciding that they want to use their bed as a toilet instead of waiting to go out. That can really impact what we're doing. At the moment it's brilliant sunshine, so we're able to dry everything outside, but a couple of weeks ago when it was pouring with rain, we wouldn't be able to do that. We were having to try and tumble dry it but not really get through it, so we had piles and piles of washing. So what has happened just now, we've heard, is that we've got the Battersea grant, which is going to, one of the things it pays for is mattresses for everybody, so then we can actually use less bedding, just a couple of blankets or sort of fleece bedding or whatever on top of that mattress will make it okay and nice and comfortable for them, and they won't have to have a pile of bedding just to create a cosy bed. So one of the jobs that isn't so great that we have to do is emptying the poo bins. As you can imagine, the dogs are producing lots of poo in a day, and on a hot day like this it isn't great. So we try and empty the bins regularly. The poo bins are double bagged. We have to do that, and then we have some poo wheelie bins on site that get collected every fortnight and taken away. We have to have things like waste disposal notes and all that kind of jazz to make sure that we're legal, really. So there's the poo bins. So here we are at the end of the day, and what we do now is all the dogs have been walked, so they're just, you can actually probably hear them in the background, they're getting excited because they know it's the time for their meal. The evening meal, because we give it to them just before we finish with them, we give it in a bowl. Every other meal you will have seen would have been given in interactive feeders and pongs and things like that if the dogs can use them. So we just soak in their food, and what we'll do is just leave that to soak, absorb that water, and then do a last couple of walks, and then they'll get that food. Okay, so for lots of the dogs they'll just have their kibble soaked, but for some of them coming into us they haven't got the best of coats, and so we're using the fish oil to try and help them with that. As I say, most of them will just have kibble, but then some maybe just prefer to have a little bit of meat in with their food, and that's what we're doing here. Okay, so now just part of the evening routine, we're going in, just checking the dogs are okay, giving them their tea. We'll tidy up their beds, although they'll probably very quickly rearrange it into something more desirable for them. Sometimes in nests, sometimes they'll drag them out and about. We'll do the waters as well, just making sure that they've got enough for overnight. And we just go down the line. They know that the food is coming. You can hear a dog barking in the background. That's Marquis right down the end, and he knows that everyone's here getting their food, and he's just letting us know that we shouldn't forget him at the same time. But as you can see, they're all ready for it. They know what should happen, and they love this part of their routine. They'll very quickly go and lie down after this. Everything will go quiet on the site, and they know that it's time for them just to chill out and go to sleep. You'll also see that what we do at night is get ready for the morning, because obviously when we get in, everyone just wants to go out and go to the toilet. Some of the dogs are, they are clean in the kennel overnight, but some aren't able to hold. It's a long time. It's now, 5 o'clock, and we'll be coming in, we'll be with them after our meeting, so we'll be with them about 8:30 in the morning. So we have got the disinfectant ready, we've got the brushes, the squeegees all ready to go, and at the moment this is where we have to keep our bedding, so we've got the spare bedding in chests down the corridor here. On the other side you've got all their coats and things again ready, but looking at the weather forecast we won't be needing those. But they've got their harnesses and their muzzles, everything for them, and all their needs are catered for. as you can imagine, there's an awful lot of washing up that has to go on with what we're going to have now. We've got 15 dogs at the moment, 18 in a minute, so that's a lot of bowls, kongs and feeders that we're working with, and plastic pots that we're keeping the feeds in. So we haven't got a great big kitchen here, so we haven't got a lot of drainage space, but when we get that new building eventually that'll have the kitchen in, then we'll design it so that we have got all of that space. So you might have heard talk about the derelict building. That's actually this. It used to be where someone lived, and not that long ago, but you'll see in a minute it is quite derelict and falling down. What it does give us is the opportunity to rebuild on this footing or somewhere else if we choose, but this is quite central to the centre, so it's a good place to have a hub. Possibly, you know, we'd be looking at putting as much multi-purpose things in there as we can. So we'd have a therapy room, suite, which would be for where the vets would do their consults with the dogs, but also where the physio would come to assess the dogs, for instance. And we would be able to use it for training. We'd be able to get the dogs used to going into a vet room without the vet even being here at that time. We'd also be weighing in there. We're weighing in another room in the house at the moment because that's the only space we have to do that. So in here we're going to have a therapy suite. We're also going to have the laundry. We're going to have hopefully a sort of laundry / drying room and a bedding store. It's really important that we can get that vermin proof bedding store. And then we're going to have a dog kitchen, because you've seen that the dog kitchen isn't huge. So we're going to create a feed store and a dog kitchen that meets our needs in here. And we're also going to have a staff and volunteer and visitor toilet facility. Maybe we can even combine that with a shower facility so that the dogs, you know, if it was a wet room style, the dogs might be able to be showered off in there if they need to be, but so would a person if they need to be. So I think they could shower themselves, but it would, you know, it would do the job for us really well. And also a bit of a staff volunteer rest area. We haven't got anywhere for that at the moment, so everyone has their breaks in the office, which is fine, but you see that we're getting a little bit overcrowded in there too. Well, that's it, everyone. That's the tour of the centre. You've seen it hopefully mostly in sunshine. The clips at the beginning were in the rain, but it shows you we are working in all weathers. Hopefully you've got a really good idea now of what it's like to be at the centre, what the dogs do on a daily basis, and how we work with them. I hope that you will be able to visit. It would be really lovely. Any volunteers or friends, it would be great for you to come and see the work that we're doing. And actually, as we speak, the lane is being fixed, so no more potholes, everyone. Hopefully the fundraising has really done its job, and we'll be able to pay the bill. Just thinking then about the team. You've seen the team on the video, and I thought it'd be really nice for you to be able to actually meet them, really. So we don't work everyone every day. We do need days off, so not everyone is on these clips, but there's a little taste of the backgrounds that people come from in these clips, and hopefully that will give you a bit more of an insight into us as a team as well. To start with, I thought maybe I should say something about me too. So I have spent the last 30 plus years working in the voluntary sector, and I have a degree in psychology, and I started working in child development and did that for 11 years, and then worked with people with a learning disability for another 11 years. But then I decided to pursue really what was a dream, and try to get into animal rescue. And I was lucky enough to become the general manager for Margaret Green Animal Rescue. We had 3 centres, and that I did for a couple of years before moving to the National Animal Welfare Trust, where I was the centre manager for quite a large centre in Somerset, and I was there for 5 years. And you may or may not know that last year, when we purchased the site, I was very happy to be given the role of project managing the purchase, and subsequently I was made the centre manager for the site. So that's me in a little nutshell, and now let's meet the team.
Okay, Deborah, so you're the newest member of the team here. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing here.
So I'm the community fundraising support. It's a voluntary role, and I've known of Forever Hounds Trust for several years in its previous sort of name, the GRWE. We've had rescue lurchers for 23 years, and I'm very passionate about rescue lurchers, and we encountered Forever Hounds Trust when we adopted our Freya, our belated Freya, and I just so want to support the charity in whichever way I can.
So what's been the best bit of the job so far?
I'm pretty new to the job, but before it, if I can talk about what I did before it, I've sort of done making of dog coats, dog bedding, co-coordinated pooches at the Priory in Exeter. That was our first dog show in Exeter for Forever Hounds Trust. And this role I've literally just started, so I'm going to look forward to getting to know all of the volunteers and finding out how I can best support you all individually and regionally, because I expect that every region will have its own needs. And if I can't help you, I hope to be able to find the right people within the organisation who can help you, because we're all here for the same reason, which is to support as many of the rescue hounds that are out there and deserving of love, to spread more love into the lives of us humans who are very lucky to have them.
And what's been the scariest bit of the job so far?
The scariest bit of the job so far is sort of like accepting that actually I'm entering into the unknown. I really want to support the charity, but I'm aware that actually I'm going to need to really build my skill set in order to do the charity and the volunteers justice, because having volunteered myself, I know that people come from the same place, and that's a place of passion, and I want to honour people's passion by making sure that I can support everybody in whichever way they need to fulfil their volunteering sort of role and feel satisfied that they've been supported. So I think that's going to be the scariest bit.
And what do you like doing outside of work?
I love obviously my dog walking, and that's an important part of my life, and I love the fact that my children have been brought up with rescue sight hounds as well, and that there's nothing better than going on a dog walk with them and them exploring all the muddy puddles. I do a bit of capoeira when it's not locked down, and work-wise I've worked extensively in mental health, so it's quite nice to always get back to the hounds really.
And yes, just as a complete difference, what was the most interesting book or article you've read recently?
Oh, I don't actually get to have time to do that, unfortunately. Don't have the windows of time. So yeah, no, I don't tend to.
Okay, thanks ever so much, Deborah.
Okay, so what's your name and how long have you been working here?
So my name's Fergus, and I started here about 3 weeks ago, at the beginning of May.
And what did you do before you were here with us?
So I was a supervisor at a animal welfare shelter in Thailand, on the island of Koh Lanta, and then had to leave that due to COVID, and then moved to the area and started working here.
And what did it involve working over there then?
So it was lots of street dogs mainly, and then it was tourists that were coming in would adopt them, so we'd have to fly them back home. But it's lots of similar things with the rehabilitation and training and things like that.
Brilliant. And what are the best and the worst bits about working here?
The best bit is just coming in and seeing all the dogs every day. Just being able to spend time with them, watching them progress through their training. The worst bit, probably on a hot day, would be the poo bins. And on a cold day, it's probably still the poo bins, to be fair.
Understandable. And what excites you most about what we have planned for the centre?
The vet room that's being set up, that's going to be really good for helping the dogs that are quite nervous about travelling to the vets. It will help them sort of bits of training to get them used to the vet environment as well. Also quite looking forward to the lane being done to save the suspension on the car.
Brilliant. And do you have any pets of your own at the moment?
I do. So I've got one dog from the shelter in Thailand. So he's called Leo and he lives with me.
What's his background? Do you know much about him?
So he was brought in with his sister. She'd been hit by a car, so he was quite lucky to be brought in with her because they were on the mainland and brought over to the little island. He was there for maybe a year until we adopted him, and he's been in the UK for a couple of years now.
Fantastic. And what sorts of things do you read when you're not here? Or maybe you don't?
Maybe. No, so I'm doing a behaviour course through the ISCP at the moment, so I've got a few books for referencing from that, but they're quite hard going to sit down and read of an evening.
What about hobbies?
Hobbies, I like to go surfing. So we live up near Barnstaple End, so we go in and see quite a lot, me and my partner.
Fantastic. I think that's everything, so thank you very much.
That's all right, no problem. Bye.
So what's your name and how long have you been here for?
I'm Chloe Spiller and I started here when the centre opened in December.
And what did you do before you came to work with us?
So I worked at Heaven's Gate with National Animal Welfare Trust for 6.5 years.
And what were you doing there?
I was an animal care assistant, so we had an array of animals from dogs, cats, farm animals, sorting them out.
Perfect. And since you've been working here, is there one dog that sticks out for you?
So there's Bowie. He was our first dog here at the centre, and he was also one of our first ones to go home, which is awesome. He was really sweet.
And what's your best and worst thing about working here?
The best has to be how rewarding it is. So seeing them come in from the tracks and knowing they haven't had a very good life, to then helping them to go to their forever home where they'll have lots of love and stuff. The worst bit, poo bins. Doing the poo bins isn't so great, but also having to, if there's any reason for PTS, then that's not a good part. But
Perfect. And then with everything that's happening at the centre over the coming years, what excites you the most?
it has to be our new kennel block, I think. So having a few more spaces for the dogs, and then getting a new vet room, shower room, new kitchen and stuff like that.
And when you aren't here and you have some free time, is there anything else that you'd like to do?
Nothing. If I'm at home with my parents, I like to take their dog out, their Labrador. I take them for a walk. If not, then a bit of online shopping, maybe.
Perfect. And have you got any dogs of your own or any animals of your own?
Not myself, no. My parents have a black Labrador and a cat. But yeah, not myself.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Bye.
So what's your name and how long have you been here for?
So I'm Rachel and I started with Forever Hounds Trust back in 2016.
And what did you do before you joined us?
So I've always worked with dogs. So my first job was as kennel staff at Dogs Trust. So I've worked there for about 3 years. And then I went on and I did a degree in animal behaviour and welfare. And then I went and did a master's degree at Lincoln in clinical animal behaviour. And then since then I've worked for Dogs Trust again, Guide Dogs, and Jerry Green Dog Rescue, and obviously Forever Hounds Trust now.
And what's been the most, also who's been the most memorable dog for you so far?
It's difficult, there's a lot. I would have had to pick one. I'd probably say Wilbur. So he was a really lovely, huge bull lurcher who was with us for quite a long time. He did have a few issues, but generally it was just that unfortunately people thought he looked scary because he was sort of big and big black dog, big head, orange eyes. But he was really lovely. He was such a sweet dog, and he's in a really nice home now and doing really well, so happy ending for him.
Brilliant. And what do you find the best and worst bits about the job?
So the best bits, I would say, is definitely seeing dogs progress as they come in. They come in when they've maybe got some issues, or they're nervous, or they're not in good condition physically. Seeing them sort of progress, and then obviously the ultimate goal is seeing them go home and seeing them settle in a new home as well.
And what's the worst bit?
Well, there's not many worse bits, to be honest. It's got to be the weather. Working outside all day when it's a day like today, when it's chucking it down with rain, is not always fun. But other than that, it's all pretty much good jobs.
And how much time are you out with the dog then compared to in the office?
It varies, so it depends. So obviously most of my work is with the dogs, so assessing the new dogs that come in, working with the dogs that need some extra training. But then obviously there's parts in the office, with homing and matching and providing sort of support for people that have adopted dogs and that sort of thing. So it kind of varies, but I try and spend more time with the dogs than in the office if I can.
With everything that's going to be going on at the centre over the next few years, what's the thing that excites you the most about that?
I think just the opportunities that's going to give us to work with some of our dogs who maybe need a bit more help. So, having more facilities that we can use to help those dogs is really exciting. We're doing, I think, a really good job at the moment anyway, but obviously the more facilities you have, the easier it is to help those dogs.
And when you're not here, what do you have time to do?
Mainly looking after my own dogs. So I've got 3, 2 of which are from here, the 2 Whippets. And yeah, they are quite demanding. So I'd say probably most of my time is looking after them and sitting on the sofa with them.
Perfect, that's everything.
Yay.
Thank you very much. So what's your name and how long have you been with us for?
It's Kathy Saunders, and I've been with Forever Hound Trust for about 6 weeks now.
And what did you do before you joined us?
Oh, I've had quite a varied career, but for a brief period I was doing doctor's receptionist, but that was just to cover me because I was made redundant from the Royal Voluntary Service at the beginning of lockdown. So the surgery was just a bit of a gap filler really. Enjoyed RVS far more.
Lovely. And what do you find the best and the worst bits about your job so far?
Oh dear, okay. I don't like being stuck to the computer quite so much as I am at the moment, and I'm really hoping that will change as we go along into the year and I can get out to some events and meet some volunteers. And just the best bit, actually, it's just a fab environment, very relaxed, and got the dogs around and got Rachel's dogs in the office, so it's lovely. It's like being home from home.
And when you aren't here, what do you like to do?
Do you know, I've gone from working part-time to full-time, so I'm like, at the moment, I'm just exhausted when I get home. Always done a lot of walking, love my walking, but I've got a dog at the moment who sadly, through grief, doesn't want to go out and walk, so that's been curtailed a bit. But I enjoy my reading as well. And that's it really for me. I don't find time for much else.
What sorts of things do you like to read?
I vary. I've got quite an eclectic mix. I'm a bit of a Barbara Erskine fan, so that's sort of time-shifting, ghosty type thing. But then I like a good, psychological thriller. And then I've had some books given to me that you just read whatever you pick up, really.
And what excites you most about your plans with Forever Hounds Trust and what we've got planned here for the centre?
Oh dear, there's so many plans. I mean, it's going to be lovely to be in at the beginning of the centre and see it grow. It's going to be lovely to be able to have a variety of volunteers here, and I'm really looking forward to that, although I don't get anyone until the drive is done. And actually just getting out and meeting people and really building that volunteer network and pushing forward with the fundraising, that I think is just really great. But I enjoy working with volunteers.
Fantastic. And do you find there's any big distractions when you're working here?
The dogs, Rachel's dogs, honestly, they're such time wasters, they really are. You know, you're sitting there working, you get a little nudge in your back because somebody wants to fuss. So yes, they are my biggest distraction.
And lastly, can you share any plans that you've got up your sleeve for the rest of the year?
Oh, personal plans, are we talking, or work
No,
plans?
with us.
Oh, just to really implement the strategy that we want to get in place and bring all the other regions back in. I think there's just a huge amount of team building to do, and that's really what I'm planning to do. I hate doing everything by Zoom and Teams. I want to get out there, meet people, go to events, and just make everybody feel included.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kath.
You're welcome. Thank you.